Well, hopefully that debate was good. I thought that debate was very fun. I feel like I wish that it had gone on longer though, and I feel like my main issue. It feels like at the end that guy snuck in a lot of like much less defensible definitions, right? Like during the debate itself, he was like, "Oh, I'm only deferring to the common definition," you know. And then when we're in the questions towards the end of it, he's like, "Yeah, and if I could have a moment," and then he's like, "Yeah, well, actually, I believe in the true definition," you know. And it's like, well, what, you know. Yeah, Demon Mama. Well, I don't think the guy that I was arguing with was like duplicitous or whatever. I don't think that he was being dishonest or bad faith or anything. I just, you know, it's a pretty, yeah, it's a pretty in the weeds conversation. And I didn't expect to be having a conversation about like molecular composition or elemental composition or whatever. Disagree, fam? Well, that's fine. I'm just a very charitable lad. On the how many believe trans women are women point earlier, according to a YouGov poll from 2021, 40% believe self-identification should be legal, 38% disagree. Damn! 40% believe self-ID should be legal. So not even like with transition, but just flat out self-ID? Looks like my position isn't that much a minority. I feel like nobody ever responds to any of my real fucking arguments either. Like, my main argument is that I think it's unethical to impose social roles on somebody based on their birth sex. That's the main thing that I care about. You know, you pop out of a womb or a pussy or whatever, and people look at you and you're like, oh, well, those are your genitalia. Therefore, like, your entire life is going to be dictated by this shit. It's like, why? That seems unreasonable. If we don't believe that your race should prescriptively determine your roles in life, well, people do, but not everyone does, you know. The guy you debated said in his Twitter the very idea of changing a definition of a concept is nonsense. What? Changing Wait, definitions of concepts change constantly in every scientific academic field, all the time. Okay. What? All the time. And he said the opposite in the debate. Yeah, I don't know. Well, whatever. Just remember, when it comes to definitions, the descriptive is the prescriptive, you know? Like, we talk about linguistic descriptivism versus prescriptivism. In truth, both of them are prescriptive, just in different ways. When you're a linguistic descriptivist, you're making the prescriptive statement that we should use language and understand language as it's known today. And when you're a linguistic prescriptivist, you're making the prescriptive statement that language should be used in adherence to some given linguistic standard. Both are prescriptive, just they're prescriptive in different directions. There is no like original truth to defer to when it comes to language and its construction. So yeah, no, I don't think that my definition, I really do feel like my definition of what a woman is like the most consistent by far. Like, it's super vague and broad, but that's the case with all these definitions. But mine is also the least harmful and the one that you'll find like the least inconsistencies with. On his YouTube channel, he talks about being a traditional Catholic naturalist. I could tell he was religious. Yeah, that's why I made the joke about like divine and like he's listening to God or whatever. Because I can fucking tell. There's a language that people use. I didn't look into it before. There's a language that people use sometimes that really makes me think they believe in some kind of like prescriptive divine reality that they're referring to. Yeah, nobody uses. Yeah, and also like just the way we already do things. Like nobody. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's dumb. It's all pretty dumb. Pretty cringe. He teaches at a private Christian uni. Oh shit. Well, I think I did fine. Happy to talk. Yeah, James is super ripped. Every time that guy tried to let out his performative gotcha chuckle, I don't feel like I came off like particularly weak in that conversation, so I'm fine. You know, can you explain what descriptive versus prescriptive mean? Descriptive means that you are describing the world as it is. Prescriptive means you're making a moral argument in favor of what something should be. It's the is-ought gap. What is versus what ought to be. Vaush, I'm not claiming you made circular arguments. I'm only referencing the fact that you said you wouldn't care if people made them if humans were more happy. If you sacrifice logic for making people happy, you have no ground to stand on any argument ever. No, but you're not sacrificing logic when you construct a definition. Like what you're suggesting right now is that there's a dichotomy between like, or that I'm suggesting there's a dichotomy between logic and happiness, and I prefer the latter to the former. What I'm saying is the dichotomy doesn't function when it comes to definitional construction, in which utility and consistency are what we're looking for, and consistency is a function of utility. I mean, obviously the consistency of a definition will inform how useful it is to us when we use it, and that's like it's a definition can't be wrong. It can only be inconsistent. Now, if you're asking, do I believe we should believe things that are wrong if it makes us happy, then no. If that was the case, I wouldn't be talking about how Republicans, that would be a destiny argument, where be quiet about the fact that Republicans are trying to destroy our democracy and like enable genocidal conditions because it makes people upsetty spaghetti to learn about that. But I'm, you know, I'm a rigid adherent to reality. Tragically, unhappy as it makes people in my community. But a definition can be vacuous or trivial. Well, in which case it would have less utility because it's vacuous or trivial. But that's not the same as being wrong. Again, find me a definition of cool. The definition of cool is the definition of vacuous and trivial, but it's still one we derive utility from. I don't know why people in chat are arguing about self-referential definitions when nobody's been making them here. Why? What are you talking about? Stop. The MDD chat was extremely against you. When people want to see me get epically owned, they tune into or MDD's chat instead of my own. Yeah. You're from California. How come your Spanish pronunciation so poor, essay? Because I grew up in Beverly Hills. 98% of the fucking Mexicans in Beverly Hills are landscaping workers, and they don't talk with you. They only talk with each other. That's literally true. You can take that as an indictment of class issues in Beverly Hills, man. Stop linking me videos. I'm not watching any of them. Why do conservatives seem uncomfortable with nuance but try to make the Bible a science book? I couldn't tell you. Oh, man. It's really weird, by the way, how, like, he got frustrated when I tried to be, like, nuanced. You know what I mean? Like, when I talked about how the definition of woman is so, like, contextual that it's like tied to language, you know, even, and he's like, so it didn't exist outside of non-English speakers, don't have women, you know, like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I was pretty clear with my definitions there. XX male syndrome used to be defined as female syndrome, but was redefined as male syndrome to a male syndrome after they found the majority identified as men. Oh, based. Trans medical science. Some say a dragon is not a dragon because it has the wrong number of wings and legs, but disagreeing with giant magical lizards is often a terrible idea. True. For utility. Do monomorphic people exist? I don't know what that means. Well, I know what the individual mono and morphic mean. I don't know if you're referring to some kind of condition. Having or existing in only one form. This seems like a very abstract philosophical argument. I mean, obviously, we change our form all the time when we shed skin cells. And yeah, I don't know. I can't believe I'm spending money to tell chat that useful charts and graphs aren't objective facts, but completely arbitrary for ease of communication. Yeah, just because they're, you know, useful. Talk about the arbitrary definition of literally? No, that's enough. Fuck you. Just wanted to say you did extremely well with that debate. Thank you. I appreciate that. I was a neuro and philosophy major in uni. It amazes me Bogardus researches epistemology while referring to truth and knowledge so flippantly. Read Descartes. Yeah, the way he was, like, talking about truth and the true nature of things is like religious thinking, not like, it's not like scientific thinking, you know? Like, if you take a look at scientists aren't like, yes, we've discovered the truth of this fact of the world. Like, well, no, like, you discover facts about the world, but made a bet this guy would go on for 45 minutes, but at least he was cut off at 15, so here's the $10 I was promised. Was that only 15 minutes? Yeah, scientific inquiry is about testing hypotheses, first and foremost, yeah. Soaked on left, I'm not doing research on your comments here. I have to slightly disagree. Hypothesis testing isn't just about establishing facts, it also relates to truth. Example, Google the no miracles argument. All right, okay, let me just explain. Okay, there is a difference between something that is true and something that is a fact, and that is a philosophical distinction, okay? Truth is a matter of perspective. You know, when it comes to philosophy, what is true has to do with narrativization and perception and stuff like that, all right? What is a fact, you know, what is empirically testable? The issue is there's a big difference between scientists talking about what is the truth and what is a fact, okay? Because when they start mixing the truth in, what you get is a level of certainty that scientists ought to be ascribing to factual information ascribed to non-factual information, which is what he did. He was talking about the sex differentiation between humans in context of something being truthful, and then to defend it, he was referencing the truthful facts of the world pertaining to what an element is, or a molecule, the water molecule. Do you see the difference there? A fact of the world is that water, H2O, blah-de-blah, whatever. Okay, that's a fact of the world, you know. You could even argue it's the truth of the world. But when it comes to something like a taxonomical differentiation between two different sexes, well, then you're talking about something that, you know, is informed by human perspective. To refer to that as the truth in like an empirical sense denotes what I consider to be an irresponsible degree of authority to what is effectively a social prescription using the language of science. You understand? In the debate, you were funny and correct, but you really suffered for your inconcise phrasing, especially when countering his dogshit epistemics. I made an effort to be more concise than I normally am, but I feel like I wasn't so... I feel like I wasn't so rambly that it cut into the the interpretability of my language, you know? I thought it was okay. Yeah, I know that I tend to be a bit overly verbose. It's something I try to work on. It's difficult for me. Then perished the $10. I joined thinking you were watching a essayist video or something, but then it turns out to just be this guy's opening. What a world. P.S. What is a Vaush scientifically? Scientists continue to be baffled. After this debate, watch this biologist describe sex. This is a 30-minute video. I'm not watching this, my friend. I love you. I love the dono. I love the vibes. But I can't promise that I'll watch this. I love you, though. Is it weird he spent hours watching your videos and making a PowerPoint about you? No, I don't think there's anything weird about that at all. He's an academic. He comes from an academic background. That's how he prefers to frame his arguments. I'm not used to it, but I don't think it's weird or like bad or whatever.